It's been a while since I've reviewed an Infinix phone, and we shall change that today with the Infinix 05G. And it has many firsts attached to it. It is Infinix's first phone launch in India in 2022. It is also Infinix's first phone in the Zero series to launch in our country, and the first 5G phone from Infinix to launch globally. But do all these firsts make the 05G the best phone under Rs 20,000? Well, I'm Ershad, you're watching Trakin Tech English. We'll find the answer to that question and more in this full review. Now, starting off with the elephant in the room, the camera module's design on the Infinix 05G is clearly inspired by the seamless camera module introduced in the Oppo Find X3 Pro. But I'm not really complaining because it looks very good. Especially in its price range, the Infinix 05G's camera module stands out. Coupled with this really nice vegan leather orange color variant, it feels really premium in the hand. The other variant that we have is a glossy black variant with a plastic back instead of like a vegan leather back. Now the side frame in this vegan leather variant of the 05G has a faux metal finish in a subtle gold color. Now I would have preferred a matte finish, but this doesn't look too bad either. Now as for the functional additions to the design, you get a proper 3.5mm headphone jack and a USB Type-C port at the bottom, along with a single speaker grill. Now this single speaker sounds thin and weak, although the 3.5mm jack performs admirably. Now this 3.5mm jack could actually power the Moondrop Blessing 2 that I own with ease, and could actually also derive the details and dynamics from such an expensive earphone. Essentially, you get support for DTS audio. There are a few presets available within the settings app, and I particularly like the simple buttons to increase bass, vocals and treble. It genuinely does make an impact in the audio quality as well. Plus, if you are a tinkerer, you also have control over the individual EQ settings. Now coming back to the design, on the right edge you get the power button with the fingerprint scanner and the volume rocker as well, both of which have decent tactile feedback. The fingerprint scanner is actually pretty fast at unlocking the phone, so there's not really much to worry there. And to round off this design, there is a dual SIM card tray with support for a dedicated micro SD card slot as well. And I really like the design of the SIM card tray because it has optimized for space. That's just good engineering. By the way, the Infinix 05G is actually a big phone and it does feel big in the hand. Having said that, Infinix has done a fairly decent job of keeping the weight to under 200 grams at 199 grams. And this weight is distributed evenly across the length and the breadth of the phone, making it easy to hold and use with one hand. Now the Infinix 05G has a 6.78-inch IPS LCD LTPS panel. Now, LTPS LCD panels are slightly more expensive to manufacture, but they do offer slightly better dynamic colors and of course higher pixel density as well. But all that doesn't matter if the software doesn't let you tune the colors. I prefer a more natural looking display, and that's not available. By default, the tuning is very cool. Also, while you do get support for HDR playback on YouTube, it doesn't look very good, but you do get support for it. But most importantly, there is no support for wideband L1, which is odd because, generally phones in this price range do come with wideband L1 support. But to make up for that, this panel refreshes at 120 Hz, and by default, the tuning is for auto refresh, but you can also switch to 120 Hz constant, which is what I did. You get a smooth, stutter-free scrolling experience. Another good feature is the addition of the 240 Hz touch sampling rate. Especially when you're playing games like Call of Duty Mobile, it actually helps that you have a higher touch sampling rate because it helps with twitch responses in games like these. Now the screen on the 05G can touch a maximum of 500 nits of brightness, which is fairly good but not the best in this price range, obviously, because you can get AMOLED displays which can go much higher. Having said that, the visibility outdoors is pretty decent. Now if you're wondering if there's Gorilla Glass protection on top of this, there is no support for Gorilla Glass, but there's something called NEG Glass, and the variant of NEG Glass used on this is similar to Gorilla Glass 3. For what it is worth, in my time with the phone, I didn't notice any major scratches, so that's good. Finally, coming to the haptic feedback, it is soft and mushy. I didn't expect any better either, but Redmi phones definitely in this price range do it way better. Now, why the 05G first caught my attention, apart from the design of course, is the fact that it comes with a crazy set of internal specifications, so much so that it could possibly be the best hardware specs that you can get inside a phone in this price range. Now, these specs are also similar on the Tecno Pova 5G, so that's something that you need to remember. Internally, you get a Dimensity 900 system on chip, 8GB of LPDDR5 RAM, 128GB of internal storage with UFS 3.1 speeds, and of course, Wi-Fi 6 as well. But most importantly, in my testing, I noticed that the CPU and GPU are extremely stable. In a 30-minute CPU throttling test run, the Zero 5G managed to maintain 82% stability, which is absolutely fantastic. But I was even more shocked in the 3D Mark Wildlife stress test, where the phone managed 98.9% stability, which is just phenomenal. Also, the phone doesn't cross 40 degrees even under heavy gaming load. As for the graphics settings, you get up to HDR graphics and ultra 40 frames per second on BGMI, and if you want 60 FPS extreme playback, you will have to dial down the graphics to smooth. Furthermore, the UFS 3.1 storage speeds is the best in class, and it definitely helps with improving the read-write speeds. Now, when compared to a phone with UFS 2.2, which is basically something like the Redmi Note 10, you can clearly see that the UFS 3.1 inside the Zero 5G is far better and the scores are much higher. Now, Infinix also supports a whopping 13 5G bands for when 5G becomes available in our country. But I did test the call quality and the microphone quality and of course the 4G network performance as well. All of that is pretty decent on the phone. No complaints there. Now, providing the juice for the Zero 5G is a 5000 mAh battery inside the phone, and in my testing it lasted me 8 hours of screen on time, which is very, very good. That's not it. You get a 33-watt charger inside the box, which can actually charge the phone from 0 to 100 in 1 hour and 20 minutes, which is exactly the same number that Infinix claims. Even if you use the phone very heavily, you can expect a day and a half worth of usage from the Infinix Zero 5G. Plus, there are special battery life enhancing settings such as power boost and ultra power saving as well. Now, I have to talk about the Tecno Pova 5G here. While it does offer a larger 6000 mAh battery inside its much bigger body, it doesn't offer 33-watt charging speeds. It tops out at 18 watts. Therefore, the Infinix Zero 5G is definitely faster at charging. Now, I prefer Infinix's approach because at least it manages to keep the size slightly smaller, because the Tecno Pova 5G at 6.9 inches is definitely breaching that, tablet territory. It's very, very big. Now, while everything's been good up till now on the Infinix Zero 5G, I don't think that the software experience is up to the mark. Now, the Infinix Zero 5G runs on Android 11 with a custom fork called XOS version 10. It is light and it runs pretty smooth along with the hardware. There's no hiccups as such, but it is very heavily customized. Some features are nice though. For example, I really like this peek proof setting, which creates a small window to hide what you're seeing from any stranger. Plus, the smart panel, similar to One UI and Realme UI's side panels, is nicely done. But that's where the praise ends. There are way too many pre-installed apps. Way too many. And to top it off, you can't even remove many apps at once from the home screen. A folder cannot be deleted either, it can only be disbanded. Now, I couldn't also find the setting to switch off adding a newly installed app icon on the home screen. And worst of all, you can't drag and drop an app from the app drawer to the home screen. You have to long press on the app icon and again press the send to desktop option. What could have been a single fluid motion turns into 2 steps. Furthermore, Infinix has said that it is definitely working on an Android 12 update for, the Zero 5G, but there's no confirmed timeline yet. And there's no commitment for future updates after Android 12 either. So software is definitely something that Infinix has to work very hard on, and I'm pretty certain that they're on it. Now, the Infinix Zero 5G has a very unique but weird approach to camera hardware. You get a 48 megapixel Samsung primary sensor, and then there is a 13 megapixel 2x portrait camera, which is pretty good. I like telephoto cameras with a 50mm lens. But there's also a 2MP depth sensor. Now, if there is a portrait sensor, I don't see the reason why there should be a depth sensor as well. In fact, I don't see a reason why there should be a depth sensor in any phone at all. Now, anyway, the main camera captures very average images with dull colors, extremely soft details due to heavy processing and average dynamic range too. You can easily get a better camera experience from other phones in this price range. Now, the problem in my opinion is that the main camera mode itself is just called AI cam, and there's no regular non-AI mode. Therefore, there's just too much heavy processing. Now, the selfie camera is generally okay if you get even lighting, but it cannot handle harsh lighting and low lighting. In fact, the super night mode pictures in low light from the main camera are not that great too. Now, the portrait camera smudges details even further. Just take a look at this basic human subject shot next to the portrait camera shot, and you can see how soft the face looks. But yes, the facial tones are generally nice, so that's a good thing. Now, there's also some color science inconsistency between the main camera and the telephoto as well. And anyway, since Infinix calls the secondary camera a portrait camera, I don't think this really matters. Now, video recording is possible up to 4K 30 FPS, but there is no EIS. Also, it shoots BT 2020 colors, so you might see a red color cast in skin tones. Anyway, the quality is not up to mark, and again, the 1080p 30 FPS using the telephoto camera is pretty average too. Interestingly, the selfie video at 4K 30 FPS is not too bad, but what's not good again is the night video recording, which you should completely avoid. Now, to sum it all up, I'd say that the Infinix Zero 5G is a performance beast under Rs 20,000 and a phone that most gamers should consider if software is not on the top of their priority list. You can even consider the Technopova 5G for the bigger screen and the bigger battery, but I genuinely feel that the Infinix Zero 5G looks better and of course has a better name. Don't you think so? So is the Infinix Zero 5G the best smartphone under Rs 20,000? I think it does try very hard but loses out primarily because of the subpar software experience and of course the average cameras too. I feel Infinix can easily beat the other brands if it can give software updates on time, clean up the bloatware, and of course at least slightly improve the camera performance. But for a brand that has been sitting on the sidelines and being overshadowed by the big guns like Samsung, Xiaomi and Realme, I think Infinix is very determined with the Zero 5G, and I like the approach. It's a very focused approach on gaming and performance, and it does really well. And of course 5G as well, which is something that a lot of people are interested in 2022 smartphones. So that was my full take on the Infinix Zero 5G. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Until next time, keep tracking and stay safe.